After reaching round 100 in a Black Ops 3 zombie starting room, everyone said the same thing. Now do it on Black Ops 2. Without gobblegums, pack-a-punch, or ammo mods, this challenge instantly becomes 10 times harder. And while round 100 is impossible, round 50 might actually just be doable. With all that said, on my first attempt, I was even struggling to get past round 10. Partly the reason why is because this spawn room is unique in the way that it literally only has one wall weapon. And it's the Olympia, meaning it's the worst of the two. Why can't they just put an M14 in here? But I knew I was just gonna have to make it work, and it was really annoying having to go through this agonizingly slow reload every single time that I killed just a few zombies. But taking advantage of the trick where you cancel the reload right after you put the first shell in, and that makes it reload way quicker. That started to not even matter though, because already on round 5 the zombies were getting in and overwhelming me. At least they're not too fast yet, so I was easily able to end the round, and I had an insta-kill save for the next round, which luckily was jumping jacks. So taking full advantage of this, I knifed every single one, and if you don't know, during these jumping jack rounds, if you don't miss a single bullet, or just don't shoot at all, then the final one will drop you a free perk. Double tap? Really? And I'm sure you already know that the one perk I wanted instantly is Juggernog. But with 6 total perks being on this map, every single time I collected one, it was a 1 in 6 chance, so it wasn't very likely. But if I can actually survive to the next jumping jack round, then my chances of getting Jug goes up a lot because I already have a perk. Thing is, surviving is already getting exponentially harder, but I at least had double tap to one-shot the zombies again, so I guess it wasn't all that bad. I tried my best to just do a simple horde up in the middle of the room, but there was one thing that made it so much harder, and that is the few zombies that spawned at the top of the stairs trying to make my life miserable by jumping down directly into the middle of this area. So I quickly learned that it's not a good idea to run through that area because you could just instantly get blocked off. So I started hugging the wall as I was running through, but then you of course had the other zombies that wanted to make my life miserable, but it was still at least safer than running through the middle because there was usually a way through. At this point, I also started only killing a few zombies at a time, and that just made it a lot easier because then only a few would respawn. But of course, you can't do that at the start of the round, so that made those parts the most dangerous in the entire run. And then there was also nukes, which would become a much bigger issue later on. But for now, I kept getting insanely lucky with power-ups because every time I got an insta-kill at the beginning of the round, that was pretty much it, due to how short they were. And on round 11 is when I got my second jumping jack round, and all I could do is just pray for Jug because I highly doubted that I would make it to the next one after this. Moment of truth. Oh wow, quick revive. So although I tried my best after this, I kind of knew the game's fate was already sealed. What? Looking back on this, it's honestly crazy this zombie killed me because I literally jump sprinted past, but whatever. Oh, I actually keep double tap because I have that perma perk. Maybe it's not over if I can make it through this round.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
So round 14, first attempt, honestly not bad. My shotguns are definitely going to be gone by the end of this video, but that's a sacrifice that has to be made. Pretty much all I wanted this attempt is to get Jug as early as possible, and it was seeming like a really good run because I got the jumping jack round as early as physically possible, but in the end, yeah, no luck. And I even got lucky again with the next round being just 4 rounds later. But what I will say is at this point, the jumping jacks get a lot stronger, so these rounds become an actual challenge. Oh, my red screen. All that for who's who. Stop giving me revive perks, please. Once again, I'd have to survive to the next jumping jack round in order to just get a chance to get Jug. But a single zombie coming out of this barrier had other plans. Yeah. How am I still alive? Oh, I have perma quick revive. That's perfect. But on round 12 with no who's who, I wouldn't be lucky enough to clutch up again. I'll spare you the time on game 3 because on round 6 I once again got speed cola for my first perk, but you will never guess what I got for my second perk. Yeah, I'm done. Then for game 4, I didn't get Jug for my first 2 perks, which you might know what that means. But no, this game was actually different. And that's because from all my failed previous attempts, I formed a strategy. You see, in a lot of other tighter maps where you don't have a lot of room to work with, the main thing that a lot of people use for the high round strategy is boarding up the barriers. Obviously, this makes it so that you don't have to worry about that barrier, but even more importantly, you can get a whole bunch of zombies behind that barrier so that you can hoard up pretty much the entire round and then have that barrier come in second. So that makes the initial hoard up stage so much easier. Aside from just a couple unlucky spawns, all was going really well doing this. Combine that with good lucks from from power-ups like insta-kills that pretty much ended the entire round. And I realized just maybe I'll make it to the next jumping jack round where I actually have a decent chance to get Jug. For now, knowing that I was just 2 hits away from going down had me on my toes the entire time. And after somehow surviving all the rounds, it was finally time for the jumping jack round, and I even got a really lucky insta-kill. So did I get Jug? Nope, another revive perk. And now I'm sure you know that I was really thinking the game was over. But truthfully, this strategy was still doing me really well, of course, other than a few close calls. No way I had to go into the elevator. And that wasn't just a one-time thing, because I kept finding that the biggest problem with the strategy is that a lot of the time, even if the window is fully boarded up, sometimes there's still just too many zombies that come out when you need to go that way. I didn't really know how to fix this, but at this current point in the game, I was still just more concerned with getting Jug. So when the next jumping jack round came about, I was so excited when I finally picked up the perk to see the one thing I've been waiting for. If I could survive all the way up to round 20 without Jug, then I already knew that this was going to be a good game. And earlier when I said that I don't know how I was going to fix the zombies jumping out too soon, well, that problem kind of just solved itself. Because after continuously building the same barrier for so many times, I eventually unlocked the steel barriers perma perk, which I think doubles their time it takes to just take off one board. So was round 50 going to be this game? Well, for starters, I didn't get any of the perks that actually speed up the rounds, which are speed, cola, and double tap. So every single round in here already on round 20 was lasting a super long time. After just slowly grinding my way through the rounds, I finally unlocked speed, cola, and then eventually double tap, with not much happening in between. That is except for one incident where I almost went down on insta-kill.
You touch it, you pay for it. Look, but don't touch.
Sadly, nearly going down during power-ups was going to become a reoccurring theme because I was just so desperate to speed the rounds up as much as possible with them. And this is why you should never grab a nuke, especially if you're doing a spawn room challenge. Aside from power-ups, there were the walking zombies that really did start to screw me up. Now, you might be thinking, a walking zombie sounds harmless compared to a sprinter, but the thing is that when you combine them, all that does is make it way harder to train because you lose some consistency. They started really coming in at about round 15, but now that it's clear in the 30s and I can't easily deal with them, it was even more of a struggle. The hardest part is when they were first coming in, but just like the sprinters, you can still group them in the middle to make them a lot easier to train. And that's just about it with the strategy, so I'd say by this point I had it all figured out, and now all I needed to do was not make any stupid mistakes. But you already know why I'm saying that. That wasn't the only time where I barely got stuck on a corner though. So entering Who's Who on round 34 with no room to work with, I wasn't really sure how I was going to figure this one out. No way. I knew from experience that a lot of times when using Who's Who, you can still revive yourself but then just instantly die to the zombies around you when you get up. I thought that was exactly what was going to happen, but guess I was wrong. Now if I could just make it to the next jumping jack round, then I would instantly get Who's Who back once again. But not too long after that down, this is what happened. But maybe if I could grab the elevator key and rise it back up to the spawn room, then it would still count.
Think I'd better hang on to this.
Nope, instantly dead. But this isn't all a loss because this proved to me that I could definitely complete this challenge. All it was going to take is some more effort. So next game, I gave it my all and still ended up dying on round 27. And even worse, this is a terrible spot to go down with Who's Who because it's not like I can maneuver a whole lot while reviving myself. I'm literally against the wall. I knew the only way I was actually going to be able to get up here is if I delayed the zombies just long enough until I could sprint and revive myself, but even that didn't really work. How am I not dead? After only a few more really intense moments where I honestly should have died, I was able to fully recover and get all my perks back. Thing is, even with all this, the rounds were still taking extremely long. And I feel like that's kind of a given, but when you search up like first room world record, you see all these crazy clutches and plays that I feel like you don't even realize how long this really takes. If I had to guess, a fresh Olympia with 40 shots could probably kill around like 3 zombies at this point, maybe a little more, and it's only gonna get worse. That's why on round 39, when I saw this zombie drop an insta-kill, I knew I couldn't resist. But instead of saving me a lot of time, this insta-kill actually ended up losing me a bunch of time. I can hardly keep up with their spawns on insta-kill. I just wish I had like an AR or something. I'm dead because of that. And this here is exactly why I love Who's Who. Yeah, what is that spawn? Yeah, we'll just move straight to the next game. I finally have some positive news though, and that's the fact that I was getting super consistent at this strategy and was able to get all the way into the 40s completely flawlessly. I guess it would have been a really good idea to take a break by now, but the fact that I was only 5 rounds away was so promising that I just wanted to keep playing. I guess it's also partially because I didn't want to come back rusty and die that way, but this exact safety measure is what put the game at risk, as if I haven't gone down because of it enough, it is the stupid elevator. Thing is, I almost pulled off probably my best clutch ever playing zombies just here. After just a few more failed attempts, I finally got the one. As you can see, that is round 49 with all my perks still available. I think from this round alone, if I tried to go to sleep right after that, I would hear the Olympia just shooting and reloading in my head. Because this single round up to this point was upwards of 25 minutes long. And when I finally saw this, I'm sure you can imagine how much dopamine flooded my brain. So that is round 50 in the Die Rise starting room. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe as it helps a ton. And make sure to check out this video where I somehow get round 100 without ever getting a single kill.